Hello, everyone. It is Sunday night, and that means it's time for another episode of Explain Yourself. I'm here with an awesome creator who has an exciting anthology to show off, and we're really excited to talk about it. So let me welcome Oscar Osorio to
Yeah,
Explain Yourself. Thanks for coming on.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So Oscar's here to talk about Don't Push the Red Button, which is a great anthology that has just a little bit of time left on Kickstarter, has a ton of great creators on it, and is all centered around the premise of you could push a red button, you're going to get $1 million, but someone close to you will die, and you have to decide if you're going to do it or not. So a great premise with a lot of great talent involved with the book. Oscar, tell me a little bit more about the book and how you came up with it.
Yeah, I think the book came from a conversation, um, but I think that at its core, this is a book about human nature. So I've been doing comics this year. I started this year. I wanted to tell like human stories. I wanted to talk about some stuff that I've seen at my corporate job that I was previously doing. So this is a book that it's about human life versus money. So how we sometimes get greedy. Sometimes people are thinking about their what they want, but they are not thinking about what they are going to do to gain that. And they always tell us to chase our dreams and everything, but I think that right now the world has there's a moral dilemma there that you're going to chase your dream, you're going to do anything to accomplish what you want, but because of the system, because how everything is going, you may have to step on some people, and while doing that, are you going to feel okay doing that? Are you going to feel remorse? Are you not going to do it? But then you're going to sacrifice your dreams. So I think that this book is my way of putting our characters in situations where they have to choose, where they have to make big decisions, where they have to explore deeper their deepest desires and say, I want to do this, I want to get the money. I don't think that it's necessarily about the money. I think it's about getting what you want and what is the cost that you're willing to pay, and if that's okay
Mhm.
to do, if it's like the right choice. So I
Yeah.
think that I wanted to explore that. I wanted to, and when I was talking to my girlfriend about this is like something that we were talking about and discussing. Like, there's so many situations where you can put. There's so many people, like everyone in the world. You can put them in. You can give them this choice, and they're going to answer differently. They are going to think about their families. They're going to think about their loved ones. Some people have more money than others. Some people are going to do it, and some are not. So there was like so many possibilities to answer this, and I thought, let's do an anthology. Let's do like this. Let's put so many characters with the same question and see how they react, how what they will do, and how they will impact their surroundings, their families, their friends, themselves. Like, you are not the same person you were before you received the button. So yeah, I think that the anthology was a way to go to see as much possibilities as we could for the same dilemma.
Yeah, I think it's a great premise. I mean, if I look at the way the last, without getting too far into the weeds of sort of greater economic things, it's been a
Mhm.
tough year in a lot of places, and I've seen people in my day job as well act in ways that I was very surprised by. People I've known a long time, and when I saw the premise for this book, and we've been working a little bit to promote it and doing things like that,
Mhm.
it resonated. I've seen, like I said, people have kind of been squirrely about things or acted in ways that I thought they were, well, quite frankly, nicer people than they turned out to be. And you really see people's true colors when things get frantic or when a big opportunity arises. And
Yeah.
I look at this premise; it's a really fruitful premise. And I look at comics. I'm more of an artist, as far as I write as well, but I I'm generally an art guy, and that's what really draws me to a book or doesn't draw me to a book. But I have to say, the part of me that's a writer looks at the premise for Don't Push the Red Button and thought, wow, that is really strong. There's a lot you can do there. There's a lot of interesting things there. And I think what's really cool is it's a it's a premise that is not so broad that it could be anything, but it
Yeah.
also leaves and you've got a great team that you've assembled here. It leaves a lot of room for people to do very interesting things and I think when you look at a lot of the anthologies, they're all over the place, or they're so narrow they're really repetitive. I think you've got a good, I would almost say it's like a good song in that you've got great creators who can do a lot of cool things, but you also have, there's a theme uniting it. It's a little bit cynical, but it also really makes sense and lets people kind of express some pretty cool things that resonate with us, in our world today.
Mhm.
What kind of inspired you to? I mean, you answered this a little bit, but
Yeah,
as far as what inspired you from your real life, but as far as like other media, like when I saw this, my first thought was like Twilight Zone, the old.
yeah.
It's an old American TV series. Is there any other like story or TV show, movie, anything like that that kind of uh, figured into how you created this?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of series and movies that have tackled this dilemma, and I've looked into them like when I'm doing research about it and what's been done. But I
Hmm.
think that at the end of the day, this is like I was comparing it to like you are going to a hitman and tell them like I'm going to pay you this money to kill that
Hmm.
person, and we're going to accomplish something with that. So I think that this goes like beyond like past movies or anything, because what I wanted to focus on was the impact of making this choice for someone on their lives, and I
Hmm.
wanted to put this situation in today's world. I think that it's been done like in the 2000s, in the 80s, in
Hmm.
1950s. But I think that right now, and probably everyone that has done stories like this, where you put money and human life, they have said like we are at our worst. We are not thinking about other people. We only care about money. But I think
Hmm.
this has gotten worse. Like it's worse every year, and I think that right now with every problem we have as a society, with so many people like they have too much wealth and inequality, and I see that like in my own country, I see that in the US, I see that everywhere, and I think that it's a problem.
Hmm.
And for me, it's like it's a story that needs to be told right now, and probably will need to be retold in 10 years, like with what happened with technology. And if we don't get any better in 30 years, someone is going to say that they saw this anthology and they are going to use like a similar premise. The red button is going to come back. But I think that at its core, this is a story of people choosing over money and time and life. So I think that
Hmm.
it's pretty basic. It goes down to like storytelling, like our identity as humans, like what do we want, how do we value time, how do we value money, and how do we value each other. So yeah, I think that it's you can find this in so many stories. Like the red button aspect of it is like the vehicle to get us there. But what I wanted to explore was someone gets this opportunity to change their lives, but they are going to pay a huge cost. And
Hmm.
how will what will happen with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Joey, good to see you, man.
How's it going?
Hey
Sorry,
guys,
I was running a little
No
late.
worries, man.
I was still setting up my lights, and I was like contemplating on whether I should put them up or not, and I probably shouldn't have. I should have just jumped in. I'm here though.
All good. Good to see you, man. Um, just to jump on Oscar, what you were just saying about, I think that you said something really smart about how something like that would change people's lives. I look at, and I'm in a Discord with a lot of other comics creators talking about like pitches and story premises and story ideas. I think that what you've had, and I said this a little bit before, that it's not so, the premise for this is not so broad that it could be anything. But I think that when you focus on something like this, that's a turning point for someone's life where they could get all this money or power or whatever it is, and then to then have to deal with how it changes their life is a very, very strong springboard for any writer to work with. And I think that's what makes this a really cool premise for a reader. You're going to see not just one take on that, but 10 or actually 11 takes on that.
yeah,
And like, how different people come to that premise and say, like, okay, what would a character that I had in my mind, you know, how would they react to this A, and B, how would it affect them? So there's a lot of good entry points, I think, for a story in seeing, are we focusing on the aftermath? Are we focusing on the actual decision? Are we focusing on the things that brought them to that point? And that's what I think makes this a really strong anthology. I look at a lot of anthologies out there, and some have done really well and some have kind of floundered lately. I think this one has such a strong idea behind it that is a really good draw for a reader. You're going to get a very similar experience from all these stories, but you're also going to get it's not going to be repetitive. You're going to see the basic premise at different points. You're also going to see it in a lot of different genres. And as if correct me if I'm wrong, but there's sort of science fiction, there's fantasy, there are a lot of different things that
Yeah.
people have kind of come to this with. And actually, if you could tell me a little bit more, you have a lot of other people that have joined in on this one. Can you tell me a little bit more about them?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we did like an open call for submissions, and we got more than 120 submissions for ideas for the story.
Mhm.
And we have a team of creators that are on different levels. They come from different parts of the world. They have done stuff before for like indie publishers. Some have done stuff for their own countries, for Brazil, for Argentina. And I think that the idea is that, as you mentioned, try not to be repetitive with the stories. I think that when I checked the submissions, I read them all, and there were like many good stories, but there were some stories that were repetitive. Even when you talk about the button, the expected plot twist is that you're going to push it and you're going to get the money, you're going to be happy for a while, but then you discover that you pushing it ruin someone's life or ruin your own life. So that kind of linear story is something that I saw many times, and I wanted to do something different. And I chose stories that tackle it from different perspectives and characters, and trying to get like different stuff from the button and using
Mhm.
the button. So my idea was to use the button to show like an observation, like we as humans are not caring too much about people but too much about money, and each of them has chosen the bottom as a tool to say something differently.
Mhm.
So you get this idea, for example, that's on the screen, like the idea by the Argentinian brothers. Can you see? And I'm not here.
Mhm.
And this is the story of a jazz man that gets like arrested and gets taken to the police, and he gets offered a button, and you see like this guy is a jazz man, this guy is an artist, and this story is abstract, is going to take us to a journey, like a introspective journey from the jazz man, and we're going to explore like what is the role of passion, of art, when you talk about human life and you talk about money.
Mhm.
How does it connect? And it's completely different. You're going to see like the art style that Nicolas has. It's so cool. This may be my favorite story because it's the least expected. It's going to take you on a journey on itself, and
Mhm.
it's something that you don't find in anthologies. And the way that they connected this story to the button, this character Mo Mont, it's their character, but they took it to this world of the button, and
Mhm.
they're going to show like what's the meaning of life and money for an artist, for a jazz man.
Yeah.
And you have this one, and then you have Endless Snow by Marquis Agnaso. He's done tons of work for Scout Comics. He's
Mhm.
done By the Horns. That's the longest series that Scout Comics has. And this is a story of a goblin warrior that's going through the endless snow. He's going to fight his demons to get to the bottom. And this is fantasy. This is going to have creatures. This is like a complete different style. But as you see here, there's no humans. There's no. This is not like a human struggle, but it's going to represent something completely different, like all fantasy does.
Mhm.
But right now you have like fantasy, and then you have the perspective of a jazz man. And the next story that this a creator is up and coming creator from Brazil. He's done stories for us and for Let Her Be Evil that already founded. And this story is a presidential race and how the role of the button will impact the presidential race. And again, this is like another take. This may seem like something more traditional, but it's it's different. It's going to explore like the whole politics aspect and what happens when you get this powerful tool to a
Hmm.
politician, but how this resembles real life, because we know like how countries move because of money, and how elections can be defined by like an anonymous benefactor or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's something that you can see in real life, and it's a setting for the button that is not the traditional setting of like someone random gets the button and they push it and their spouse dies, right? Something like that. But here it's like the election. And the other story, the last red button, done by Francis Francia, he's a fellow Peruvian, and he's working on an anthology for Iron Circus Comics. And this story is about the last red button. So we go from a presidential race to a dystopian future when there's someone that doesn't know if they are the last person on the planet. And they are afraid that if they push the button and nothing happens, they are going to confirm that, but they have this uncertainty.
Hmm.
So this is like a story, like a the dystopian future, and someone that's alone with their own thoughts, and how what does it matter to get money in a world where there's no one left, and what does it mean for him, and if he's going to find out that there's no one left, because this is like the whole question of this story.
That was
And
one of the
this,
most. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, I just wanted to like close the idea that this you can see that the stories that I chose, that I had the luck to get in the submissions, they take the button to completely different levels, and they are going to explore different subjects. They are going to explore their own stories with the button, and that's exactly what I want. I didn't want a story that goes around the button, but a story that works on its own, but
Hmm.
happens to have a red button just as a tool to do something. But
Yeah.
here we're focusing on characters, we're focusing on the story, we're focusing on what they are going to do. We're not focusing on the button and the story of the button and nothing like that. We don't care where this button comes from. We want to know what happens with it.
Well, that's what's cool about the last red button. That's one of the ones I'm really excited to see because they took that and said, okay, if you think you're the last person on Earth, so you're sort of in some dilapidated dystopian future, you're not going to push the red button to get the money because you don't need the money. You're going to push the red button to find out if you are actually, in fact, the last person alive. And I think that's one of the strengths of this is you picked a premise that worked for a lot of things, and you also were really smart in how you curated all this, and you got a lot of really intelligent takes on what this story could be, where you could go with that, and that's what I think is cool. Tell me a little bit more. I know that you picked 11 stories, but you had a
Mhm.
ton of submissions, correct?
Yeah,
How
yes.
many?
127, I think it was like the last count.
Yeah. So I have to say, if you're watching this, the link is in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, and we'll put it on screen a little bit later. But you're getting the cream of the crop here. You're getting it from a lot of great creators,
Yeah.
and I think just to listen to Oscar talk about this a little bit, you're getting a very rounded premise, sort of a Black Mirror, Twilight Zone type of thing, and you're getting kind of a rounded look on it. Sometimes it's just about money, sometimes it's about the further implications of this. So you're getting kind of a complete view on this premise in a lot of really fun ways. So I think it's going to be a really great experience. And I'm going to just pan up here and show off a little bit of art from one of the first stories. And I think, Oscar, this is your story,
Yeah.
and was drawn by Francesca Frantini. Has some great artwork here, really strong. And she also did cover A for this, right?
Yeah, she did the cover before she did the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I got her for the cover, and she told me I can do a story. And well, that was back in March. So she told me I can do a story. I got a writer. And when I asked her again if you are up for doing the story, she told me I'm up for it, but I don't have a writer anymore. So if you want to write it, and I say, of course, of course, I want to see my words with your art. Yeah,
Yeah, she's done some really nice stuff. The cover, I'm going to pan up to that real quick. I love her interiors, but her cover is brilliant as well,
yeah,
and it's really cool to see. We also have a few different options here, right? We have a metal and a few different things here as far as the covers go. I think for this one we have um, This one is the metal option, correct?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was yeah, that's a
And then the
metal
other
option.
one, yeah, and then we have a Liana Kangas cover for cover B, which is also in the blacklight version, which is
So
also really great.
yeah, so it's the Leona Kangas cover is going to be in a regular cover and a black light metal cover actually,
Hmm. Okay, cool.
and then the Fantini covers are going to be in your regular or hollow foil.
Holofoil.
Hmm.
Yep, hollow. I think it's going to be foil printed. So very
Yeah,
cool.
really cool stuff. I mean, these are really strong covers. I think I've seen a lot of work from each of these artists, and these are,
Yeah,
I think, one of my favorites from each of them. So really cool stuff there. And obviously, I love these interiors in a lot of ways. I mean, as an artist, I'm always kind of, I love the covers, but like the interiors are really where it's at. And I think that her interiors here really shine.
Mhm.
Um, really strong storytelling, and I think really sharp imagery as well. So I love to see that.
You know what's funny about Francesca's artwork here is there's literally you only have like three, maybe four colors here in this color scheme, right?
Hmm.
Uh, the entire time that because we were working on this on the back end, and I completely didn't realize that there was only a handful of colors here until Oscar said something on another show, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's right. There's literally like three, maybe four colors in this entire story, and I was like, man, that that is how you know an artist did like they read they fulfilled their job. They you know what I mean. They knew exactly what was going on here. You this
Hmm.
when you can tell when you can read something and the color is like that has it if there's like it's just nuts be how there's less the least amount of colors here and you it feels like there's a lot more coming at you. So that's how you know you're a really great artist.
Yeah, and I've seen like things. There are really cool things I've seen on TV, and I'm just old enough to have watched things on black and white TV when I was a kid. The really cool stuff, if I was really drawn in, I didn't remember that it was black and white. It
Hmm.
just seemed like it was happening,
Yeah.
and that's something that as I've gotten older, I've really appreciated black and white for its own merits as an artist and just as a viewer as well. But I think when you have some color here that's used really intelligently, but also
yeah,
you get drawn into this story, you don't quite realize it, and that's what's really cool. I know I've also seen some other art. I know I've seen some art from Endless Snow. I'm not sure I've seen art from too many other ones, but there's a lot of different stuff. So like this obviously has its own feel. There's the black and white with really selective color. Other stuff's full color. So you're going to get a lot of different takes on art as well as writing with this one, which is I think really cool to see.
yeah. Also, when I chose the story, I was also looking at the art to make them differently, and we have like the traditional styles, the art, the abstract, and more
Hmm.
like it feels like I'm painting for the Momon story. We have the story that talks about the afterlife, the people that were killed by the button, and
Hmm.
we see it from the perspective of a Green Reaper. That's done by a creator that does webtoons, so it's in that style. So yeah, there's like
Hmm.
as much as there's like different stories, I was also looking at the art so we can do something like that's completely
Hmm.
different. And because you see my story and you talk about the red button and you get this feeling like it's going to get grim, it's going to get dark, it's going to be like black and white and red because it's like the red button. But there's other stories that are going to be more like colorful, and it's going to be like more like a warm feeling, like it's going to get happy.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to say like you, well, leaving that title aside, I don't want to tell you like you don't push the red button. It's like I'm not here to publish this anthology and tell people stop caring so much about money and care more
Yeah.
about people. That's not the idea of the story or any of these stories. And the idea is just to think about it like a bit, think about it, because some people, and you're going to see this story, some people push the button and everything goes well and they're going to be happy, and probably if you push the button and kill someone that's a bad person, then everyone is going to be better off.
Hmm.
And yeah, but usually we go to like the bad side of it, and I wanted this to be in every way, like you have stories that are comedies, you have stories that are slice of life, just people living their lives, and they get the button, and we're going to see if they care, if they don't care, what's going to happen. But not every story is going to be like sad or like a conflict,
Hmm.
like, or be like drama, because also because the button, everyone think like we're going to do like dramatic things, and but no, here it's like we're going to tackle it from as many angles as we can, and tell as many stories as we can tell, that examine the bottom from every perspective. And there's some people that are going to, and it's like in real life. And I did like my promo at New York Comic Con where I was pushing the button, and I got like many reactions of people saying they were um, confused, they were happy because someone died, they were sad because someone died, and there's people that will take the button. Some people, some creators, like very well-known creators, like told me I would push the button. Some others told me I wouldn't push it, and that's right, because pushing or not pushing the button doesn't make you a good or a bad person, and that's what I want to show
Yeah.
in this anthology. And I want to focus on the characters and see what makes a good person, what makes a bad person, when is money good, when is money bad. Everything here is like nothing is good and nothing is bad. So that is reflected not only in the stories but in the art, in like the whole structure of the campaign, even the covers. You have the first cover, like the girl is afraid of pushing the button, she's screaming, she's terrified of this. The second one is, it's the girl, she took the money, she's happy, she's rich, so she's happy. And you see the contrast. It wasn't
Yeah.
my idea to tell like you don't have to push a button, you never take the money, and you need to save as much people as you can. It's more
Well,
about thinking about it.
yeah, I think that something I focus on as a writer when I wear that hat is pacing, and I was really I didn't have a good sense of that until I was working with publishers, and they were like, "Hey, I like your 12 issue story, but it needs to be 4 issues." When I cut that down, I unintentionally kind of found a really good sense of pacing from that,
Mm.
and it made things a lot easier to kind of organize not just what happens to the characters and what makes sense for the overall story, but just made me think about when someone's reading this, where are the ups and downs? How fun is
Mm.
this to follow along with? I think that's something cool. You wouldn't necessarily think of that applying to an anthology
Hmm.
because they're all different stories. They're not obviously developed in concert with each other. But if you have this sense that it could go well, it could go bad, suddenly you have a lot of suspense. And I think that works with that same dynamic you develop in a singular story that lasts, for 100,
Mhm.
200, 300 pages. You have that in anthology because you don't know, some of these are going to go well. I think of every now and then I find myself going down a YouTube or Twitter vortex and watch these like accounts where they have people doing stupid stunts and wiping out on a skateboard or a bike or something like that. And, every 10th one, the person makes it. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, that's cool. I think that when you leave that open as an option, you're very engaged not only with that one but the other ones because you're just not sure where it's gonna go. And I think that's
Yeah.
as I've been writing more and doing more things like that, collecting projects, it's really made me focus on what am I thinking as a reader when I go through this from story to story, from page to page. And I think that what you've done is kind of a weird hack as far as an anthology goes. You've kind of like made a situation where not only is this going to be in different genres and apply in different ways, but sometimes it's going to work out and sometimes it's not. You're not going to just like say, well, it's always bad, the person was greedy or whatever. Sometimes it's going to be really good. And I think that makes it fun to go from story to story and also, just to be involved with this project and see what different creators, again, a lot of great creators have come up with and applied to this.
Yeah, I think one of my ideas when creating the anthology was to, so when you read an anthology, you can go two ways. Like the most normal way, I think, because it's an anthology, is like you read the book, you read a couple of chapters, or well, a couple of stories, and then you leave it, and then you come back and read two more and something like that. But the other one, and it's something that I like to do, and sometimes it doesn't pay off because it's not made that way, is to read the whole book, like the
Hmm.
complete book. And I wanted to address that because, well, it is an anthology, so you get 11 stories, you get a beginning, you get 11 beginnings, 11 ends, and that's it. but I wanted these stories to, like you as you mentioned, get this feeling that you want to keep reading because you're
Hmm.
following along something. And to connect these stories, I've added like a couple of pages that are words and ideas and questions that will make you think about how these stories are connected. And I'm
Hmm.
not connecting characters, I'm not connecting plot, I'm not connecting stories, anything. It's 11 beginnings, 11 ends, 11 red buttons, and you can read one story and then leave it for a month and read the last story, and it will work out. But if you want
Hmm.
to read it in one sitting, you want to read the whole book in one sitting, you will have a feeling that everything is connected and you're following a path of
Hmm.
ideas that will happen and that will make you think of like the red button as a tool, the red button as a weapon, the red button as a blessing. So I think that's nice. And as you mentioned, like you keep reading this and you don't know what's going to happen with the red button, but you 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 basically have like, is it going to go well, is it going to go bad, or what will happen? Because sometimes it's not about the result either, it's about other stuff, like where the button is just there, and we're going to
Hmm.
talk about these characters that they are doing their own, they are minding their own business, and it's another story, but it's going to be slightly connected by some ideas. And these ideas is like you can ignore them if you want to read the book like a traditional anthology. But I think it adds to the experience of like going through a journey of what you think about the bottom and what you will think when you read the last page of the anthology and you have read 11 stories of people or green reapers or goblins or whatever creatures there are in the
Hmm.
book that have gone through the process, and you're going to go through the process with them and are going to start thinking about what is the meaning of the button, where am I going with this, and how does it relate to my life, to my choices. So I think this anthology like allowed me to create a story that has so many different angles that when I was reviewing the submissions, I thought we can connect all of this and create like
Hmm.
a flow. Like you will read it and you will go through a journey of the meaning of the button. And
Yeah.
I think that that's something special. I'm excited for that because it's I've seen, and I wanted to do that because I've seen so many anthologies that has great stories, but between them you have like just a blank page,
Yeah.
and that's feel like for me it's kind of sad because well I'm a fan of like big stories and like references and continuity in general. Some people don't, and that's okay, you can read each story on its own, but I like feeling like there's something between the stories that is not just like the, so for example you have these anthologies all westerns and
Hmm.
every story is a western, so everything is connected, right? But there's nothing more. You are not reflecting on anything. You are not like the past story is not fueling the next story. There's no relationship between the stories. So yeah, I wanted to do a book that works as a book and as an anthology. And I'm really
Hmm.
excited. I'm really excited for people to read it that way. I think I found a way to connect everything in a way that it doesn't interfere with each story, but adds to the whole collection. And I think that I'm excited for that because there's like few anthologies that I've seen that connect each story um, in a way that it doesn't mess with each story individually, but it
Hmm.
adds to the value of the book as a complete book. So
Yeah.
if someone wants to read everything and feel like they are reading a complete book instead of like 11 issues, then that's cool.
Yeah, I think what I had this in my notes. I was like, I think you come up with kind of a cool hack here. When you get an anthology, you get variety, which is great, but you don't necessarily get a flow or a total experience. I think what you've gotten here is something that gives you the variety you want from an anthology, but
Mhm.
also gives you the experience that you're watching. You're kind of reading something that like unfolds like a Netflix season of Black Mirror or something like that. If you're going to binge that, you're going to
Yeah.
have a united experience that does give you kind of some sense of pacing that
Mhm.
has to do with each story. That's not just sort of okay, well, the guy from the first story showed up and like the fifth story, which is fine and it's
Yeah,
fun. But like, like there, that's kind of obvious, and it's not necessarily the best way to approach that. But like, I think you've done something that does it very, kind of cards on the table way. Like, hey, you're going to get the variety of an anthology, but you're also going to get a good flow just in the suspense and seeing how this different premise affects a lot of different genres, a lot of different characters, and I think most significantly has a lot of different outcomes. And I think that's what makes this really fun to go through. But I think also one other thing I wanted to ask you about is there's a lot of cool rewards, and some of them have just been added here. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe some of the stuff that's going to go into this as far as what backers can get or maybe upgrade to if they've already backed?
yeah. Well, we have like the cover rewards. We focused on
Hmm.
highlighting these covers because I think both of them are like beautiful covers. They have a lot of potential to be like something nice that you want to look when you see the cover. I think that both of them have their, as I mentioned, it's a contrast of a meaning. So it's
Hmm.
basically the two sides of the same coin. And well, when I was discussing with Joy, we said that we're going to do the foil for the first one, and we're going to do like the glow in the dark for the second one because of the colors, the tones that are in each cover, and that's also like the contrast. You see that the first one is um, red, white, and black, and the second one I talked to Liana, and they just like put a lot of colors in there, like
Hmm.
purples and the greens and the yellows and the splashes of red, and there's like this big difference between the covers. So I encourage everyone that can to get both covers because I've seen. I think that well, at least for me, this is how you do variant covers. I think that instead of like doing like the same cover three times by three different artists, you try to get as different as possible, so you can add value to the variant cover
Hmm.
because it's like the opposite of the of the main cover. So yeah, we focused on the covers. Then we included some free unlockables. So right now, everyone that backs this has the free sticker, the free bookmark. There's going to be scripts and concept art. I think that this is really important for well for creators and for people that want to see more about the process because
Hmm.
you get the scripts and the concept art and the behind the scenes not only for one but for 11 teams of creators. So there's going to be tons of behind the scenes material. We're going to be sharing how we work on these stories. I want to talk a lot about making the anthology, working on the anthology, like the whole process of putting the anthology together instead of just like the book, which is
Hmm.
equally important. But talking about the creation of an anthology, I think that's really valuable for other creators or people that want to participate in this kind of book. And right now we are unlocking the collector card. We did like the homage collector card to the movie Big. I love this idea. It was I think it was your wife, right, Joy?
Yeah, yeah. She, my wife, came up with the idea because we were sitting down talking about this story, and I talked to her about how you shared your concept and how when you came up with the story talking with your significant other, and she's like, oh, that's so cool. It's almost like the movie Big where they give you like a fortune, and it's kind of I was like, oh my gosh, you're a genius. Like, she's like, what? I was like, what if we did a ticket that was at first, like, I was thinking, okay, we'll find one that we'll maybe we'll actually print it like a ticket size, and maybe something almost like a bookmark size, you know what I mean? Something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe that'd be cool. But then I was thinking, oh well, let's switch it up. Let's do something different. Let's people love these collector cards, and especially if you do some fun little stuff like that. So I got to talking to my wife, and then I talked to Ben, and I was like, dude, check this out. What do you think about this? And
Mhm.
he loved the idea, and then I pitched it to you, because I wanted to make sure that we were able to do something like that first. And then and then you loved it, and it was like a perfect fit because the whole premise of Zoltar speaks, and he
Mhm.
goes, and he goes up to gets his fortune. He wants to know what's going to happen with his life and all this stuff, right? Same kind of concept here with the red button, right? People are probably, I in my own head canon, I have this person who, this mysterious figure who approaches everybody, and he only approaches them when they are really really desperate to change their lives, or want to know how to change their life, or what's going to happen with their life in the future. Same thing, kind of the same concept of big, right? So that's kind of in my head canon. And I was like, well, that's perfect, because that's who I see who would approach somebody, each and every person would give them this kind of fortune kind of thing, maybe like a fortune teller and kind of a thing. And um this was just such a perfect thing, because when you get that ticket, on the back side of it, it has your fortune, and it tells you all these different things about what you, but you, so I figured this was a really good thing. And then Ben, man, Ben is a genius. He came up with like the copy on the back side of it. And it was just such a, when things happen, when you get an idea and things just kind of fit and happen and set into place, you're like, it was perfect, it was meant to be. So it was just such a really cool thing. And that's kind of those things that you see in the back end, when a lot of times that not a lot of people get to see. And that's why I'm really excited to kind of work with all these different creators, and see what happens on the back end. So I really 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 want this thing to fund. Right now we are at 80% funded. Looks like we had somebody increase their pledge. We are
Awesome.
now over $8,000. We're at $8,000, $25, 8,025 at 170 backers. 61 hours to go. 80%. We got to get this one going. We are that close. We just got 20 more percent till we hit this one. We would really love to unlock those tiers. We also have some stretch goals beyond the funding goal in mind. So we would really love to unlock that 13K goal. And we also have 14, 15, 16K goals in mind as well. So if I've seen comics Twitter and the comic book community out there do crazier things to fund a Kickstarter. Like, we've all seen those really cool things happen in those Kickstarter crowdfunding miracles. So we definitely need something like this. We have 61 hours to go, 20% to get this one funded, and I know you guys out there can help us get this one funded.
Yeah, and one thing that I've really been impressed by with this is generally, the conventional wisdom is your first day's huge, it's a dull period in the middle, then you get a lot at the end. This one has like steadily increased in ways that I don't see a lot of Kickstarters do.
Yeah.
I think you've had a pretty good, like slow, steady build, which is not typical. And I think that more people are looking at the project, seeing more art from it, and really kind of being drawn into the premise. And then what I guess I focus on is kind of what we talked about earlier, is when people notice this more and see it a few more times, like, oh yeah, I saw a post about that last week, and then I see it again and think about it. This is an anthology that does everything you get from, I think, a season of TV or a larger story. It's tied together in a way that I think is a good experience for the reader. And that's what I always have kind of become more focused on as a writer, because generally I just want to draw pretty pictures and I'm a comic artist. I've noticed, like, okay, you got to think about, like, what's it going to feel like to sit down and read this? Because I always go back to the same comics. I read Dark Knight Returns all the time. I read Kingdom Come all the time. I read them over and over again, and I like doing it. There's something about that. I always liken it to an amusement park ride. There's a fun thing there. I think that you've designed this in a way that is going to give people that experience. This is going to be a fun thing to go back to, watch over and over again, but it's also not just going to be 100 pages of the same character going through something. You're going to get that experience in a very different way, and I think that's going to be unique and really fun for people to experience and read and revisit as well.
Yeah, definitely. I do have to I do have a couple of things to say about this campaign. Like, this, and because you mentioned that this has been a really interesting campaign to kind of watch, because it did have this kind of like steady increase. And looking at the behind the scenes, you know, everybody says that almost every one of your Kickstarters, if you're on Kickstarter, your most backed, your most money is going to come from internal and internally from Kickstarter, right? This campaign is actually, it's being funded more by people on Twitter than internal traffic on Kickstarter. Um, there's, it looks like there is about 30, there's about 20%, 20% of the people who are funding this thing came from Twitter. Um, so that's pretty amazing. That's some huge numbers if you look at it. Um, I've always seen that those numbers from Kickstarter right up top. That's your most, that's where everything comes from. This one looks like, you know, comics Twitter's coming through on this one and getting and making sure everybody's funding this one there. So if you guys are watching us on Twitter, you know, share it out. If you see anything for push the red button, tell a friend. Word of mouth is still one of the best marketing tools out there. Tell a friend.
Mhm.
Steal some money from, no, just kidding. Tell a friend and listen. That you can buy, you can grab an $8 digital, or you can grab the biggest tier. We had some new stuff that were just added. I'm not sure if we may still bring some new stuff out. So if you guys are looking to increase your pledges, we could possibly be bringing something brand new out. I don't know if you wanted to speak about that yet, Oscar, but please tell everybody a little bit more about some of these extra tiers and rewards that we got going.
Yeah, I think that the most important part is that, and this is something that I can't confirm yet, like what we're doing with this, but I just want to say that, as you heard, like we got so many submissions, and we have, and it was hard for me to narrow it down to the final, well, 10 stories that I had to choose, and then I add my own. Um, so I had this, like, so many stories, maybe like 10 stories, 20 stories that were like as good as what we are getting. And my last filter was the connection I wanted to create between the stories. But there's some stories that I have there that I've spoken with the creators, and we may find a way to include them in the campaign, in the anthology. So yeah, we're working on that. We're working on adding more stories, because I think that this, as we have talked about, this premise, the whole red button aspect has so much potential. There's so much stuff left unsaid, and even thinking about, I've talked in a couple of shows. They asked me about like volume two. What are you going to do with all the submissions that got like that are up there? I got some of the creative teams told me, I want to use this story. I want to submit this story for another
Mhm.
anthology. Can I use it? Are you? And I told them use it because it's like one of the best stories that we had. So we have like so many more stories to tell about the red button, and so many different perspectives that creators have done. There's some stuff that was like grounded in real life, like a kind of historical fiction, and I love that. I love all the stories. I want to see how we do with this one, to
Yeah.
see if we have like a whole next like volume of stories. But I had like some stories that I thought like, if we can hit some goal, if we get the interest, if we get people going, if they want to see more of the red button, we are working on adding them to this campaign, to this same book, and have like a bigger book, more pages, more stories, more creators. And yeah, we're going to see like these last hours. We're going to see how we go. We're going to see how far we can get. Hopefully we get like the last I don't know, like 48 hours, we get like the classic boost of people,
Mhm.
get some people here, and we get to that place where we can get more people on board. Because as I've mentioned in the campaign, the idea with this project is like, we if we fund, we have the money to pay the creators to and pay them like What I've seen in my experience is like pretty above average pay rate for their pages in an anthology. If we fund, we are going to pay them and they are going to get to work. Some of them have started working. That's why we can share some art from other stories because they believe in the project. They are excited about it. I know of creators that have finished scripts, but like at its core, this project was about getting the money first and then paying the creators so then you don't have to work before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to focus on that because I think it was important to show that we're going to like pay them when they did the work because
Mhm.
there's like the other model when you get the creators and they work on the anthology and then you get, and if you get funded then they get receive the payment.
Yeah.
But I wanted just to like make sure that these creators are getting paid, so they are getting paid with the money we get from the campaign.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah, so
it's good to see that and people being upfront about that because it's really important. It takes a lot of time to create art, and I guess writing. I don't know, but it's important to pay your artists and possibly your writers, I guess. But
Pay them
it's
all. Pay them all.
yeah, but artists
yeah.
first. It's good. You want to involve people, and I think that's not just a sort of like you're pleading with backers. You're kind of like saying, hey, this is how this happens. This is how the sausage gets made. This is what it takes to create these stories. And I think people, I think people kind of want to support creators in that way. I think that's a good thing, and I like to see people being upfront about that. And really embracing what Kickstarter is and ought to be. So that's definitely something I'm glad to see. There's one other tier that was just added as an add-on that Joey, I think we might talk about a little bit. Is our
Yeah.
We're going to add this limited offer for some crowdfunding help for other
Yeah.
creators.
Yeah, so we over here at Geek Collective, we donated 3 seats to the don't
Yeah,
red button.
Oscar, please pet this cat. I mean, it's desperate for attention.
So what that means is we are giving 3 comic book creators the availability to purchase these tiers, and you will be able to get us, that's me and Ben is a comic creator. He's a cartoonist, which means he does everything from the art to the letters to the pre-press, everything. So he does everything, right? And he does comic book trailers. He is a video engineer. All we so he's a graphic designer. He does this for his day job. So we I also do the graphic design and all that stuff for my day job. So we are sitting here doing this all day long, and this is what we do. Part of our day jobs is advertising and marketing other companies, like commercial companies. So this was such a natural fit for us to continue to move and do this with the comic book business as well. So we curated different tiers and different services that we offer comic book creators, like project management and campaign design and building, which includes like photorealistic mock-ups, and not just those stock mock-ups that you just buy everywhere, right? These ones have been created by myself, and then Ben has helped me kind of clean up some of these things as well. He has far more experience than I do.
I don't
I'm
know
an
about that.
autodidact, so I just taught myself. But we do a really good job, and we have a passion for this, and we make sure that this is as clean and pristine as possible. Make sure that we are keeping your tiers and your rewards and your copy all clear and precise. You know what I mean? We're gonna create pitch kits for you, media kits, written press releases, maybe even a pitch deck, if you are looking to like send this out to publishers and stuff like that, so we can do all those things. We have a media list of a plethora of media outlets, thousands and thousands of media outlets. Like, yeah, I'm not even kidding, I literally have a list of thousands of media outlets, and we will solicit them to cover you wherever you want to try to get covered. We'll send them out and try to get you covered there. So we have endless amount of an endless amount of crowdfunding solution support for you guys. So all you got to do is head over to geekcollective.net/red button, and look for the Geek Collective tier, and that's $350. That's an $1,100 value. That'll get you everything that you need to create a dynamic Kickstarter campaign, and you're not just getting us as a consultation. You're gonna get us throughout the whole entire campaign. Anything that you need, if there's any hiccups, if there's any problems, we're gonna get in there. We're gonna manage that stuff and take care of that stuff. And you're not just and here it is. Here's again. You're not gonna get us just during the campaign. You're going to get us after the campaign to help you manage the distribution and manage funds and things of that nature and all that stuff. We're here all the way through. When we talk about project management, we're right here with you every step of the way. So, and we've done this many times. Ben, I know you've done Kickstarters and crowdfunding. We have been part of 26 different ones. How many have you been a part of, Ben?
Me personally, I think I've been a part of 6 at this point. And then as far as what we've done together, probably I'd add another 6 onto that. So somewhere in the area of 12.
So collectively between me and Ben, we're over 30 campaigns that we have built, and those are all successful campaigns. So we've built a little bit of them, right? So we know a little bit about what looks good, what works, what doesn't work. And I guarantee you every single one of those campaigns was not the same at all.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And I think that's something that's true of building a campaign and also building a story, which is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, Oscar, is I think you've done something really smart with how you've constructed this anthology and how you curated it. I think if you look at campaigns and creating the story, whether that's an anthology or a singular story, it's something that you need to be really reader focused on. What's going to make somebody back this? What's going to be fun about backing this? And that's something I think we bring to this. That's something that you need to. If I'm creating my own books, I'm thinking about that. When I'm helping out with campaigns, I'm thinking of that. And Joey does the same thing as well. So you can have a lot of good eyes on that aspect of your campaign. And it's kind of easy to overlook that when you're crowdfunding. Some people have editors, and that's great. I think it's really good to have that, but in a lot of ways, you are sort of a one-man band, and it's hard to, I think, focus on all the different aspects that you really need to do. If you're working with a publisher, they'd say, no, this needs to be a different issue count. This needs to be a different genre. Yeah. You're not going to necessarily have that in crowdfunding, nor should you want it, but you are going to have somebody helping you out that is going to say, hey, readers like this. Readers like to do this. This is what's fun about doing it in the way that you're doing it, and helps you emphasize those things.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes makes a difference, right? Though that's the major difference between. And here, I don't like to say this because I don't want to be like we're better than you, but I feel like that's the difference between us and other solutions support, right? Where we really believe in these campaigns, and we don't take on any clients that we don't believe in, right? Because we want to make sure that we're there to support you. We're there to take care of the campaign all the way through. And the only way that I feel like we can do that is by giving everything to it. And when we do that, I think the campaign, I think everybody involved is way more successful. We are way more happy doing it. And I think together we can work stronger towards a goal when we believe in something.
Absolutely. And I think that's something you got to keep an eye on. Like, the book should be fun to read, and that's something you definitely need to consider. They should be fun to create, but the campaign should be fun too. There should be something fun about backing these books, about interacting with the creators, about backing different tiers. And I think that's something that when you bring in other people, it's a lot easier to be cognizant of.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's really difficult sometimes when you are a creator and you have your head down and you're working and stuff. It's really hard to kind of separate yourself from that and then move into the business side from the creative side and just kind of flow and work, right? And same thing vice versa. Sometimes I find myself, because I have to work creatively as well in my stuff, and I find that it's harder for me to work creatively and move back and forth from the two a little bit. But even more so when it when you have no idea what you're doing, right? Because you're like, man, I really wish I knew how to make a comic book trailer, but I know and I know when I've seen people try, I've tried, and I'm not as good. And that's why I have Ben there working with me, because Ben's freaking works his magic on that stuff. And, and that's how I know that I'm like, I know my place.
Yeah,
I know
I
what
don't know about
what I'm
that,
good
but
at and what I'm not, so I'm gonna let somebody else handle that stuff. So but I digress. But when it comes to believing in something and creating campaign, I think that's what it is, right? This medium is a visual medium.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
a and I think that's here's what my little tip of the week here. If comic books is a visual medium, your crowdfunding page should be a visual medium as well. You shouldn't have too much copy. You should have just enough copy, just enough copy, which is the written portion, and then versus graphics and stuff, right? So you want to have a good little balance of that. You want something to pop out at you. You want something to kind of be fun and exciting, things like the like fun little gifts that just pop up, and you could do different little things and such, right? So there's all kinds of fun things you can do with these campaigns to make them a whole lot fun, a whole lot of excitement, just like reading the comic book, right? So
Mhm. Yeah,
there, I
absolutely.
digress.
That's something I wish I knew. I launched Scarlet Twilight 1 and it did really well, but I made so many mistakes from just lack of
mhm,
knowledge in this thing. And I was reaching out to the creators, but it just wasn't. I didn't have a sense of how do people like to get variants? What do they
yeah,
want from it? All those
Yeah.
things. And that was something I wish I knew. And certainly shipping issues and that whole knot to untie was another thing. I just didn't really have a sense of how it worked, and it's only when I got help with some of that stuff that I really began to not only do a better job of that, but also work better and do a better job at just creating the darn comic in the first place. So it's
yeah,
definitely something to look at.
yeah. I think right now, especially in self-publishing, so for writers, they always tell us like work with an editor, like search for an editor, do stuff with your editor, and well, for the artist also work with an artist and everything. But for the artist, it's more obvious. But getting to work with an editor, it's like some writers say, I can do this myself. I can do my own editing, and then they work with editors, and they are like, oh, this is a completely different experience. And I
Yeah.
think I feel the same way with working with you guys and working with like people that know about the selling aspect of the campaign and building the campaign. And because some writers or creators, they can do this and they can say, okay, I'm good at this, but it's also like it will add a lot to your knowledge to get people that are
Mhm.
specialized in this. Because as some of one of you guys, I don't remember who mentioned it, but they say like everyone has their place, and for a writer it's like you know about everything, you know how to you know what Kickstarter is, you know the campaign aspect, but you are not doing this every day, you are not making campaigns every day, you're not working on different projects, you are just working on your stuff. So as each project is different, maybe you think that every campaign is going to be the same, but it's not the case, so you get help of people who know. And I think that this is like an ongoing discussion. I talked about it on one of my updates for the campaign. But regarding like marketing, is marketing a comic book making skill? And I don't think it is. You can make a comic book, you can write it and have someone draw it, and you have a comic book and you made the comic book.
Mhm.
But I do think that marketing is a comic book selling skill,
Mhm.
and for some people it's as important, because if you want to make a comic book you can do it, but if you want people to read your comic book, then that's a whole different
Yeah.
science.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
goes. So if you're doing this, if you're selling comic books, if you want to do it
Yeah.
professionally, you need to work with people on that side of the craft as well. It's not
Yeah.
only you
Mhm.
work with an editor, with a artist and colorist and letterer and everything. You need to work with people that know about doing the campaigns. Then you get the book ready and need to talk to someone that does the shipping and the printing, and you get to work with a printer.
Yeah.
So it's a whole like there's a lot of steps into making it. And for me, in this campaign, based on this experience, I encourage people to work with someone, like
Mm.
get this kind of services, because it
Yeah.
will. I think that saying that you are not going to do anything in the campaign is it's that's not real. I think that for especially for creators that are doing this, for me this is like my second campaign. I've started this year creating comic books, and I'm doing it with all the passion in the world, but it's something that I'm still
Mhm.
adjusting to. I'm still doing it. So
Yeah.
each campaign that I go, I'm promoting it all day. I'm like stressed and everything, but and this is not going to get away. It's not like you're going to hire someone and your campaign is going to be an automatic success. You still need to talk
No.
to people, still need to out there and talk to the creators and do everything as if you were doing it alone. But I think that talking to people that know their stuff, it gives you a sense of direction. You know where you're going, you know
Mhm.
what is going, what they are going to publish, what you're doing week one, week two, week three, and having this like safety net of people that have done this before, and they tell you like they talk to you, and it's like the editor. They are going to tell you when you're doing it good and when you're doing it bad and what you need to change. And especially for creators that are learning about making campaigns, not just making comic books, but making campaigns, selling their books, talking to people, going into podcasts, going into shows, going to conventions, and
Yeah.
discussing everything. Because even the convention, the red button at New York, that was something that we talked about. It was
Mhm.
something that we were discussing, like how can we promote this book, and having someone to talk about and to talk about this kind of stuff. It's really helpful. It's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, it helps you to have someone that is going to even just hear you and tell you like this is a good idea. For this other idea we can do something else.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really helpful. I think that. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight is that when I was starting this, I came from a campaign with working with soup, and soup is like straightforward. They help you setting everything up, but Kickstarter is like do it yourself, and you can do like so much stuff
Mhm.
in Kickstarter. And I was looking for people, and I saw that there was so many like consultancy services that they were going to check your page, and then they are done. And I think that it's good to have that to build your page and everything, but for me it was super valuable to have like the like an ongoing service. Like you are working on the campaign, and maybe week one was a success, but week two we're going slow, we need to change some stuff, and then we are planning for week four. And then and having that like back and forth between me and you, that is really helpful. And I think that right now I haven't seen any other service that is so complete in that sense. The most that I see is like consultancy. You talk with an expert, because that's the truth. There's a lot of people that are experts in doing campaigns. There's a lot of people that are doing this successfully, but they are going to help you just like setting everything up, and they are gone, because that's their job. But for me, having like people there with me, like create a team, like feeling that we have a team and that we're making this campaign together, and that we're passionate about this project together, I think that experience is cool,
Mhm.
not only for creating this book because it's really helpful, but also for learning how to work with other people in this type of context. So next time that I need to publish a book and I talk to like marketing people at a publisher or something like that, I have this experience, and it's not just like they help me set up the Kickstarter page and then it's gone and I'm alone again. It's like we're a team and we're doing this together and we're working for the same project together. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's that
Yeah.
was really helpful. I think that for at least like doing it once just to get the feeling of it. And maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe there's people that would like to work together. Maybe there's people that don't like to hear, oh, you don't need to do this, people don't like this or something like that, and they will take it personally. But if you want to work with other people and get the feel of how it is to share the campaign with someone else and work together to get
Yeah.
it done, I think it's like you need to try it. I think that's what I want to say for all creators, like the creators like me or
Mhm.
creators that have many years doing this. I know that Kickstarter is always unpredictable. So I've been hearing about some creators that maybe they had some success and they get into this new project and they don't get funded and they may be asking why, what happened. I had this audience and then they don't show up. What happened?
Mhm.
And probably you guys have the answers to that. And so for me, it's like for every creator that is starting that has like 2 years, 3 years, or they want to do their first campaign, I
Mhm.
encourage to try this type of service just to see if it's for you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a solid alternative, and it may give you more insight than you think. I think that in a way, it like humbles you because it shows you how little you know about Kickstarter and crowdfunding compared to the pros. So yeah, it's something that we need as writers, like
Yeah, that's
with
definitely, as a creator, something I found. I didn't. It was logistically just getting some help, and also the expertise. And I didn't know what I didn't know until I learned some of that. So it was great to
Yeah.
hear that. And but this book is one we're really excited about. We have
Mhm.
just a little bit of time to go. 61 hours. We just crossed 8K, and we need to get to 10K to fund this one. And I think really want to see this happen in the last bit of the campaign and get this across the finish line, because it's a great book, and I think moreover it's going to be a great experience for backers when they read it. It's going to be a really fun book to go along with,
Yeah.
and so we're excited to finish this campaign out, and really hoping to make it to our goal.
Mhm. Yeah, this is a really exciting, and I want to say thank you, Oscar, for saying all those really nice words, because we do appreciate you, and we appreciate the work that we did together with you, and because he's absolutely right. You work together, you work these things out, and you kind of figure it out. We're also working on I haven't told Ben though yet, but we're working. We have things
No
in plans in work.
suspense.
We're working on possible accelerator courses, and possibly some of those people who go walk away with some of the higher dollar tier with those courses, they could possibly leave with Kickstarter build templates, or crowdfunding build templates, like, which it's going to be like Adobe templates, or PDF templates, and where you guys will probably leave with a good amount of the list, the email list, the thousands of media assets that I have. You will probably leave with some original photorealistic mock-ups, and probably a really cool dynamic trailer for your project. So there's going to be a handful of really stuff. I'm working with another person on the team that is going to be working with us to be doing those things. We're probably going to implement some of his stuff in there as well, where he breaks down creating comic books from the bottom all the way up to even pitching to the general the I'm sorry, the direct market, and also creating a bestseller in the direct market. So we're going to be implementing a lot of really cool stuff there. That's in the works. We're hoping we're going to be planning on that in 2024. And hopefully, very, very soon, we'll be able to roll that out. But there will be something for those people who, like Oscar said, if you want to try the service once and then leave, and then be able to try to do it on your own in the future, we will have services that will you will be able to leave with tools that you can keep forever, and always have a successful campaign. And when I say successful campaign, that doesn't mean successfully funding. That means you have a successfully looking, gorgeous, clear, precise campaign, because that's what we do, right? We're in the business of helping you, giving you the tools to be successful, and the ball is now in your court to be successfully funded, right? And that may sound different, but we're here to help you, and give you the tools, and kind of give you the vehicle to kind of get there. But it's ultimately up to you and your creative team to get you funded. So I just want to say that we will never, guarantee funding, because funding is never guaranteed.
Yeah,
If only we could, that would be great.
yeah,
That
Figure
would
that
that
be.
would
out.
be a great
But
service.
but yeah, that's I mean, we're comic guys, we live and breathe this stuff, so it's fun to do that. And I think we have good and we're working with a few other campaigns now that have some really great stuff that I
Yeah,
was excited to check out and really help out with the campaigns, because there's some really cool looking books we're also kind of helping out with that are live
yeah,
now too.
yeah. Yeah. So Oscar, if you feel like if you need to head out, you please go ahead and do so. We're running a little bit later
Yeah.
because went a little bit early, but we're gonna finish talking about some of the other campaigns that we are involved with, and other campaigns that we see that are going on right now. But if you need to leave, because we know you're in Peru and it's pretty late out there,
Yeah.
if you please feel free to do so. But give us the pitch one more time to don't push the red button, and then
Yeah,
tell everybody where they can find you in the book.
yeah. Well, so Don't Push the Red Button is a 100-page anthology that explores a moral dilemma. If you could push a button and get lots of money, but someone would die, would you do it? And we are tackling it from 11 different perspectives by over 30 creators from the indie comic book community. And yeah, it's going to be fun. As we were talking about, there's going to be different characters. We are going to go drama, we're going to go supernatural, we're going to go horror, we're going to go fantasy. We're going everywhere we can. And I think the most important thing from this anthology is that the button is like, it's a tool, it's a vehicle. What we are going to focus is on characters. We're going to focus on how would you react, how would a goblin react, how would a Jasmine react, how would someone that has four ex-wives will react when they get the button, and what will happen to them, to their surroundings, what will they learn. It's a human experience after all, and I think that this is what I want everyone to know by this anthology, that this is not about the origins of this choice or anything like that. We are going to question, like, as humans right now, why do we care so much about money? Where do we land on time? Do we care about time? Do we care about human life? We're talking about this from different characters, and we're going to explore different stories. But the important question is, if you would push the red button, um, where will you land when you read about these 11 tales of different people, uh, creators, or afterlife, like ghosts or whatever? What are they going to do? And after you read the book, what are you going to do if you got this chance? And how does this reflect on your day-to-day life? So we are going to focus on that. And well, we are 80% funded, so with like more than 60 hours left, we're looking to get funded. We are super excited. I think something that I wanted to highlight is that the creative team is so excited. I think that there's been a lot of like people that we're working together on the book, and they are also promoting the book. They are excited, they are sharing the art. I've been sharing the art on social media. They are sharing concept stuff, they are sharing scripts. They are super excited to get working on this one. So rest assured that the team is all on board to creating these stories. Everyone is like super, like they are working a lot on promoting, and I appreciate that a lot from the team of creators that are working on the book. And it's a great team, it's a great story. We are super excited, so please help us make this a reality.
Yeah. And it's going to be a fun ride if you back this book. I think this is an anthology that combines all the best things about the anthology and a story that you would read that just is like a long epic story. You really can get it all here, and it's going to be a fun read.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Oscar, thanks for coming on and sharing all this info about the red button. It's exciting to finally talk a little bit more in depth about it. And like I said, I'm a comic guy, so I love kind of thinking about what goes into these things, and
Hmm.
like how they're developed. And it's been awesome to talk with you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me. And as I said, I'm really excited about the project, and uh, we will get there. I'm confident that we will get there.
Yeah. 20% left,
Yeah.
80% funded. 171 backers at 61 hours
Now
to go.
60.
61, 60
Not
hours to
not
go.
a not a minute to spare, guys. So 60 hours to go.
Yeah.
Let's get it going, guys. You guys, this one's down to the wire. We're gonna get this one going. So yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, but we have a few other campaigns that we're also really excited about. Some great other creators. The first one is Romanus Magice, which I'm going to share here real quick.
Yeah.
Really cool book. A great premise. And also it's a great take on some magic stuff, some Roman Empire stuff, and one of the coolest things is that there are some great variant covers from Charlie Adler, who's the artist from The Walking Dead, pretty much a legend, and another legend, Sean Phillips, who did Marvel Zombies, does the criminal books with Brubaker. So some great covers from some fantastic creators, and it's a really strong book. I mean, I think unlike a lot of Kickstarter books, the interiors for this are really strong. So definitely check this one out. It's got 9 days to go.
This was one of those ones. This is one of the ones where I really wish that I was on that we helped out and build the campaign, because I was like, oh my gosh, like because we're helping Matt promote this one right now. And we were talking, I was talking to him behind the scenes, and I was like, man, I really wish we could put some of these other pages on here, man, because this art,
like, he's concerned about those spoilers, but they're great pages.
He's concerned about spoilers, but and he's like big concerned about spoilers. Like, listen, when you guys have a creator who is thinking about you first before they even put their pages on, like I am one of those guys where I was like, man, just slap those pages on there. I don't care. Like, spoil the heck out of them.
Yeah.
Put as much as you can, because that's what we're gonna do. We're putting that out there to sell this stuff. People are gonna want like it. I mean, come on, you see how many people flipping through pages in the shop? They're spoiling the heck out of that comic for themselves, right? So
there have been studies actually that tell you if you spoiled something for yourself, whether it be for Game of Thrones, a show, a movie, you're actually enjoying it more. And I'm a big subscriber to that. Now,
I love that. I love that idea. I've never heard that one, but yes, spoil it for yourself. Don't spoil it for others, though.
No, absolutely not. But this is one of those, you showed me this. I'm like, this is a great book. Oh my God. Like, this should be killing it.
This should be killing it because it's such a great book. The writing, the tone, the colors, like everything hits. And
this is big two quality.
People backing it. People, we need more people backing this one. It is funded, so right now, if you back this one, you will get this book. It is getting into backers' hands. So, how many days? He's got a handful of days left. About a week.
9
left.
days.
9 days left. 47 backers, 1,135. So 1,135 is 1,000.
Yeah, I'd love this book to just go. I think this is he did a really successful campaign called Kaijus and Cowboys. That was a big hit. I think this one is better than that. So I'd really like to see more people read this, because Matt's doing some great stuff.
This one, I think, Kaijus and Cowboys is fun. Right? There's a place in a ton of people's hearts for kaiju, right? Heck, I freaking spent the day watching freaking that Monarch show today. So freaking kaiju all day in my life. But but I really love this kind of story. I'm a sucker for a good Roman Empire.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, I think about the Roman Empire once a day, like we all ought to. And so this was cool, and it's not only that, but it's like a really cool take on it. Very cool. It's like it's got some political conspiracy, it's got magic, and it has all the sort of still like very much entwined with the Roman Empire stuff. It gives you, sometimes I feel like when you combine genres, you don't get as much as you want from all of them. This one I think gives you the best. You get everything you want when you see these images. Like you're going to get all that stuff. It's good, and it's a fun book, and I wish we could show you more. I like this one.
This one, I don't know. There's some books that work on Kickstarter, some of them that don't. I really wish this one worked on Kickstarter. It could still work. It does work, but
it has worked. It's backed. I mean, it's
there.
Cool.
What I'm trying to get at is there's books that fit like more in the direct market, and there's books that fit only on Kickstarter, and I think this one could work for both. But but I think I don't know if this one's found its market yet. I don't think there's enough
Yeah. I think it's
fans
going to be a
for
slow burn.
this.
I think number
Yeah,
two is going to, like, people are going to, I mean, we're like, we got
maybe
to
we
see
have some
this. So
trade waiters, man. You
yeah,
think we got some trade waiters on this one? Because if we do, woo, this one's gonna be so good.
absolutely.
Yeah, check this one out. I think we got another one. We got one, Carsis, from our buddy Brian Hawkins. Right now, he has got 77 backers at 1375 of $2,500 goal. This one follows Paul Carsis, who is a paranormal investigator. He is called into Thompson Pass, Alaska, to investigate a death, but I don't want to give too much. But this one is a paranormal supernatural horror. Definitely check this one out. Brian Hawkins has done so many different things. He's done Black Cotton for Scout Comics. He's done Devil's Dominion for Black Box. He did Empath that just dropped. He's got what is it? The Vineyard. Um, he's also done he's all over the place. Done Mad Cave, after, like, all kinds of places that he's been. He's in the direct market all over the place. If you've been in a comic shop within the last week, you've probably seen a Brian Hawkins comic book.
Mhm.
This one is really cool. This one's got some really gorgeous interiors.
Oh yeah, great
Like,
stuff. Like very Matt Wagner esque. That's what
yeah,
I mean. I love the setting, but
I
like these are
mean,
strong pages.
some people, there a lot of times, there's not there's I've heard people say that some art is not for them, right? And this could be one of those books where it's like, this artwork could be for you, this artwork could not be for you. But I think, I mean, for me, if it fits, I love this freaking artwork, man.
I love it.
It's
I
like,
mean,
it's very cool. Like, just this alone right here, there's nobody here, there's just this car, and I think it looks cool.
I
um
love this. Yeah, I love this type of stuff. It's not short on detail, but
yeah,
it's great spotting of like his ink.
yeah.
I mean, if you let me go, I'm going to talk about the artwork all day and not the story at all.
Listen,
But it's
here's one
great
thing.
camera angles, great
I was
suspense.
having a conversation with Charlie McGelvey on Twitter the other day, and I kind of jumped in a conversation, and they were talking about I think I started a conversation about, like, marketing and comics and stuff,
Hmm.
and somebody had mentioned, oh, I really want to see pages with lettered pages on there, and I was like, well, to me, I'm not much I don't there's some comic books, or like some Kickstarter pages, that I don't put pages
Yeah,
on there. You If they have, if
this
like
one,
lettering's not done,
yeah,
I'll put
I
the
don't know
pages
that
on
this
there
needs it.
anyway. Like this one. This one doesn't have any letters in the pages at all. But any good comic book should know what is going on in a good comic book without any letters. So if you take away the lettering from any comic book, if you cannot follow the story without the words, someone's doing something wrong.
Yeah, and
Because
this one, this is some really top notch stuff. I mean the page layout, and I mean if this were a movie, this would be all sound effects. You're not missing
right,
anything, and I think that's
yeah, uh-huh,
granted, like I've said, I'm a little more art focused, but this one is really strong. I'm also a sucker for like winter, snowy environments.
yeah, same here.
Perhaps that's because as an artist, I just love to, and I might show some stuff off here in a second. I love just the visuals of the snow stuff, the fact that you can
Yeah,
leave a lot of detail out and be selective about how you apply it.
yeah,
If you have a top-notch artist, they can really make that stuff shine, and I think this is a good example of that.
yeah. They did a real good job on this one.
Yeah.
So this one has how many days left on this one?
More than 9, 17.
17 days left, just a little over a couple of weeks left on this one. We have a $2,500 goal. There's 1375 of that $2,500 goal. So please back this one. This one is gorgeous. I'm telling you, this one's already done. The letters are finishing up right now as we speak. And I've seen so many, the covers look great. Listen, this is from his new productions company called Black Trauma Productions. Black with an X. Black Trauma Productions and this is going to be his vehicle for his new horror line of comic books. What he's got going on planned here, he has this one, Carsus, and then he's got a couple handful of other ones. We have a whole timeline. So Geek Collective has been hired on to help him with facilitating the releases of each and every one of these books that he's doing underneath his Black Trauma Productions. So you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming out from Brian Hawkins at breakneck speed. I'm not even I'm not telling a joke, because
he's got a lot of cool stuff planned.
As soon as this one is done and fulfilled, as soon as the very last one hits the mail, he's going to click that button on this campaign, and we're going to start the next one, because we're already going to be starting on the page for the next book here this week. And then we're going to go and make sure that this campaign runs out. And once he fulfills everything on Karsus, that next campaign is going to hit, and that one's going to be huge too. He's got a handful of other ones that we're going to be doing exactly just like that. We'll just breakneck speed, one right after another. So if you guys are not following Brian Hawkins on Kickstarter, follow him now, because all kinds of really cool stuff is coming out from him and his production company. Super cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think is there anything else, or is that
Oneshi Press? Oneshi Press. We are working with Oneshi Press. That's kickstarter.oneshipress.com. You guys can head over there, and they have an anthology running right now too called Cohorts. And this one follows all a handful of different creators, where it's so basically cohorts means, collectively getting together and doing something fun, or getting into trouble possibly, right? So this follows all kinds of really great creators with a lot of really, really great stories. This time around, JL, what he did was, did it not pop up for you?
Oh, let me see that.
It gets kickstarter.oneshipress.com. Okay. Unless so what's cool about this is JL also partnered with Fellhound, and they do some really great stuff on this one.
I'm just getting let me. I'm not quite sure. I didn't have that one, but I did their spelling there from that, but I didn't get the.
I'm sorry.
I was hoping to find it.
I can probably put it in the. I'll put it in the back channel there, maybe.
Cool.
Because let's see if that one works for you.
That should work.
Okay,
there we go.
Cool. All right, yeah, because this cover, dude.
Oh, I love that cover. Crazy.
Look at
awesome.
this artwork. Like, I don't even know what this creature is. They are 75 backers, 18 days to go, $24.97 of a $42.50 goal. This is their 13th anthology. Features 18 short comics from over 30 diverse creators around the world, all about team ups. Very, very cool. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Oneshi Press. They do all kinds of they do Kickstarters every year. They do multiple Kickstarters every year. They partner with One Tree Planted. They also what they do is they create these campaigns to basically long story short, give people work. And what's cool about this is they continue to do this every single year, and all kinds of really fun creative stuff. They are great, wonderful people. I love the stuff. But what's cool about them is they really take pride in their comic book trailer, their Kickstarter trailers. They actually go and they actually write out scripts, and they talk about everything. And it's like the amount of care that goes into every single one of these Kickstarters is amazing. I've never seen any other Kickstarter care about their projects and everybody who is part of their project as much as Oneshi Press. So just because that alone, you guys should be backing this thing.
Yeah, and look at all this art I'm scrolling through. There's a ton of great stuff here.
There's something for everyone,
Yeah,
and it goes from like traditional to like non-traditional to like, like fun kitschy kind of artwork. It's such a fun, like the stories and the artwork that they choose. It's such a cool, like, diverse. It really,
yeah.
in the titles, diverse. It really is diverse.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that from all this art, and we've seen a lot more of it behind the scenes. But yeah, all good, all solid stuff, and tons of different genres. This one I've been particularly fascinated with, but
Yeah, that one's so cool.
yeah, a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, very very cool. So Jake, make sure you guys are checking that one out right now. I think that's all I've got. If you got
All right,
anything else that you've
I
been
have a
looking
couple
at,
things. Let me crack
yeah,
my knuckles and get to shilling here. I've got a few
yeah,
things to share. Some artwork, which is always fun to do.
yeah, I'm excited to see your
Yeah,
artwork, man. Because
yeah. There's a few. I'm not sure if I've shared a ton of these, but the
you don't
first one.
share any artwork with me, man.
Well, I don't. So the ones
No,
that
just
are
kidding.
from other people's projects, I make sure that they posted a lot first
Yes, that is
before I
true.
do that. So this is a cover I'm doing for our friend Charlie McKelvey's book called American Yakuza, and I'm going to throw
And we will be working with him on
link for
this
that
campaign as well.
in the
So
chat.
we're going to be
Um,
working. We have a contract with Charlie McElvey
oh, cool.
that begins in 2024 to work with him on some of his campaigns as well. So make sure you guys are checking anything out he does. Follow him on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Follow Ben and all the crew, all those good guys, those guys over there involved with this one. This
yeah.
is like,
The interior artist actually, I think that's the cover image for the pre-launch campaign is live. And I got to say that other guy, he might have beat me out here. I like my cover, but this is great too. Really strong stuff. And I've
this is
repeatedly
your cover, right?
this is my cover, yeah.
Yeah, this cover
Um,
is fire, dude.
and
This
I
cover.
got to say, I've said this to Charlie, but I've repeatedly apologized to whoever the interior artist is for this jacket was Charlie's idea. I think it
Uh-huh.
looks awesome, and I
Yeah.
love drawing on the cover. But if I had to draw that panel after panel, I'd be looking for the guy that did the cover art that
Oh man,
necessitated them doing that. So I've apologized before, but I'm gonna apologize again.
that's
Um,
hilarious.
and I've got one other piece of art for another book to show.
Oh,
My friend Travis Gibb is got a book live now called Granite State Punk, The Coven. That series has been going on for a while. It's a great book. It's got some magic. It's got some punk rock. A really
yeah,
strong book. I got to read the first part of this story and the other stories. Awesome stuff. And this is my cover, which is a scene from the book that was fun to illustrate. And like I said earlier, I love to draw snow in snowy environments because you get to pick out all this cool stuff and like put a lot of strong blacks in there, a lot of strong light areas. So that's a ton of fun
wow,
to do. And nobody's noticed this yet,
dude,
but I do
that's
this
so good.
awesome deer in the background that
Oh,
drives the
dude, I
events of
see
the
it.
scene.
That's so freaking awesome.
Nobody really said anything about it yet, and I'm really
Oh, that's
disappointed.
so
So I
cool,
went and spilled it myself just now. So there's that,
dude.
and then there's one other piece of
I
art
love the
I've
way
shown.
you did the smoke there.
Oh,
The
that was
plumes of
fun.
smoke.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
so
It
cool.
was. It's like there was a great scene Travis wrote that is this character is involved in an accident on a snowy highway from a deer, and that gives me a little bit of anxiety because we have a ton of deer around here,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's only a matter. Oh, we've had deer just jump in front of us and just like look at you like, yeah, you're gonna stop. And one of these days they're gonna do it at the wrong moment. I'm
Oh man.
terrified.
Yes,
But
that's scary.
so this gave me a little bit of anxiety.
We don't have
But
any of those out here, man.
no, I wouldn't think so. If you do, I don't know. There's problems.
We might have cactuses jumping out in front of our car, but that's about it.
Yeah, and then the other piece of art I wanted to show off before we hit the road is this is some art from my campaign that's going to be coming out next year. We Are Scarlet Twilight. It's a sequel to We Are Scarlet Twilight Part One. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be basically Crisis on Infinite Earths or Secret Wars had it happened in the 1940s and really took place in the vocabulary of those Golden Age comics. So
Yes.
this is going to be obviously pretty epic. We got planets crashing each other, heroes going to work here, and there's some pretty big surprises that I don't want to spoil just yet. But we're going to bring in some other characters that I'm pretty sure you're not expecting. I think one of the great
Very
staples of these big crossovers is somebody shows up from another universe that you wouldn't think would show up, and that's definitely going to happen here. So if you head over to Zoop and check out the pre-launch for this one, I'm going to throw that in the chat right now. We're going to be launching that next year, and this one's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to also probably have a Kickstarter campaign to go with it. with some kind of different material. And I couldn't be more excited about this. I love going back to this world and these characters. So this one's going to have a lot of surprises I can't share quite yet.
Very cool.
But we're still working out the details for. But this is going to be a lot of fun. So
I
that's all
love
I got.
I love this. This is so cool. I'm very excited about that. And you have to mention, because you had a comic book that hit the shops this last week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. Because we weren't sure when. I thought actually 4 had hit the shops a few weeks ago, or I'm sorry,
wow.
a few months ago. This might be a second printing.
Favorite. Okay.
But yeah, we're kind of working that out, and that's I think you don't always have a sense at the publishers when the shipments are going to hit. The first issues, they had an issue where, like, well, the boat's out there, they have the books, but they're not sure when it's going to be delivered.
That was a fun time.
It was really it gets like that. So it's but Red 5's also you can get the books there as well if you go to red5comics.com. But they've been great, and like, as a small publisher, it's kind of hard to know about that stuff. Diamond doesn't exactly like work with you at every step of the way, but Scott and the team there have been great. So you can also get the part 4 of the first Scarlet Twilight, get caught up before this one comes out. If you're at the shops, you can get it. If not, you can head over to Red 5 Comics, and you can also get it there. They have $10 flat shipping anywhere in the country. So also a good way to get it.
Heck yeah, that is a great deal if you want to grab all those issues. Very cool, man. I don't have anything else except for if you guys are interested in we have an affiliate code for Gemini Comics. Head on over to GeminiComicSupply.com and enter the code Geek Collective 10. We are an official comic book. We're an official partner. So make sure you guys are doing that. Head on over to Geek Collective, or head on over to Comic Supply and put in Geek Collective 10 at checkout and get 10% off. I messed that all up.
No, it's fine. Sorry, I just got that done right before we went live, so I wasn't sure if I was going to have time to put that in. So I didn't mean to throw you for a loop there, but I was all right, I've got the official partner one.
We're gonna be working some stuff out, so working kinks out. So
yeah,
we're gonna be changing some things up. We're gonna be doing some changing up our clocks and things in the way we are running this show, because we want to be a little bit more professional and run a little bit more on a timeline for you guys. We do know that this episode is 2 hours, and it was a little bit longer because we went on a little early, and we like to talk about comic books.
Yeah, you get it started. It's going to happen.
Right, but we're Ben and I are working on behind the scenes. We're gonna. I have a meeting with a live comic book network. We may have to change a couple of different things if some of these things work out. It's going to be better because we're going to be on a more consistent basis. We're going to have we're going to be more precise with our time, and we're going to make sure that we are also have opportunities to sell ad space and bumper space and things of that nature in different positions in this show to different creators and stuff like that. We'll also add freebie spaces as well, which are probably like a 5-second space in the front, things of that nature. So we'll have different options for people to pay for, like a 30 or 45-second space or a 5-second space for free. Things of that nature will feature different comic books and creators each different time. And my kid is telling me that they are ready to get out of their bed. So that means it's time for us to get out of here.
I think so. I think that that should do it for this week. I want to thank Oscar for coming on and sharing a little bit more about Don't Push the Red Button with us. It's been awesome talking with him and with you, Joey. But everybody watching, I want to say come back. I'm not sure if have a great holiday. It's going to be Thanksgiving next week. But next time we're on,
we'll take me and Ben are going to talk here after this show. We'll talk and see if we're going to come back next week, but we will let you guys know. Follow us on social medias at Joey Gow's 1984, and Ben, where can they find you at, so that we can let them know?
Benjamin W. Morse on Twitter and Instagram. I'm there, and that's where you can find me, or you can find me on this channel. If you just go to YouTube and search for Benjamin Morse, comic book artist, that's who I am, and that's where you can find me.
and we'll let you know. We'll probably have next week off because it's the holidays and everybody wants to spend
It
time
is.
with
We'll
their
either
family.
be eating or sleeping after eating a lot of turkey. One or the other. We'll see.
Right. We'll see how it goes. But thank you guys. Appreciate it, Ben. I appreciate you. We'll talk a little bit more after this, and then we got some work to do, man.
Yeah, we do.
We have a busy
Absolutely.
week.
But for now, have a great week, everybody, and good night.